Hello, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. We have another special talk here for you. So, in case you missed the last one, I'll give a little introduction to what we're doing here. So, everybody say hello to Dave. So, just so you know, the last time he was on the Facebook group in one of these live sessions, we talked about his story. So he's been an entrepreneur for some time. He was a what did you call it? Yeah, he was an apprentice with the tropical
Tropical MBA
MBA
guys.
guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a really cool story. And so this was really fun. So he's been doing something a little bit different than I think a lot of people have, which is building e-commerce businesses, but using Facebook and in different ways than you might have heard about. So he's built a lot of communities in Facebook groups and that sort of thing. So he's here to talk to us and tell us, first of all, why might you want to do this? And then secondly, how could you get started? So Dave, first of all, welcome. Thank you for
Yeah.
coming.
Thanks for having me, Isaac. Yeah. It's good to come back again.
Yeah. So if you have any questions, make sure you type them in the comments here. I'm going to put this banner up here. Type your questions. So whenever you pop in, I know people pop in and they don't see the first part. Just put your questions in. And of course, if you're watching this on replay, thank you for showing up. Thank you for joining us. And we'll have Dave here in the comments, so you can ask your questions whenever you watch it, and he'll be there to answer. Cool. So, Dave, why don't we start with a little bit of a refresh? So you told your story, and it was a really engaging story. If you're watching this now and you want to hear his whole story, search for his name in the Facebook group, and you'll be able to see that video. But for those who haven't seen it yet, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you've been doing.
Yeah. So my name's Dave Huss again, and I've been doing e-commerce, specifically paid traffic, Facebook ads, Google ads for almost a decade now. It's like crazy to think like how time flies. But yeah, originally got my start working on my own business, then worked for the Tropical MBA guys, running their AdWords campaigns for their e-commerce stores. Started taking on my own AdWords clients, then started doing my own t-shirt business with Facebook ads, doing Teespring. Then drop shipping products from AliExpress with Facebook, and then eventually selling our own inventory products and then selling on Amazon. So I've kind of seen e-commerce from a lot of different angles, worked with a lot of different clients. And the thing that I've been focusing on now the most is Facebook ads, building communities. How do you find those groups of passionate people on Facebook that buy a lot of products for e-commerce? And I've also been focusing that for sellers who sell a lot on Amazon. In general, they tend to be really strong in their Amazon presence, but not as strong off of Amazon. And that's where I've been able to add a lot of value and help them build out their, Facebook presence.
Awesome. Yeah, that's something that people have been talking about a lot, especially in the last year or two. I'm not an Amazon seller. My only experience selling on Amazon was a major failure. I think we talked about that last time. But if you talk with people, if you listen to podcasts, you know that this is an increasing area of just nervousness, is being beholden to the Amazon beast, if you will. So, like you said, a lot of people are really good on Amazon, but when it comes to building their brand off of Amazon and maybe building an email list or a community somewhere, or even building their own website, a lot of people don't really make that transition. And if they do, it's hard to get it really anywhere near the level of importance of their actual Amazon sales. So how do you think about that?
Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of the same thing. And for my e-commerce businesses, they started off of Amazon. And so, um, for me, Amazon was just kind of an extra channel that we could add to the business. But for those who are kind of focused on Amazon first, it's like everything. It's like if anything
Mm-hmm.
happened to their Amazon account, they would be screwed. And that's kind of there's pros and cons to that, right? I mean, it's good to focus on one channel and get Amazon up to speed. And certainly Amazon has continued to grow by itself and probably will continue to grow because more people shopping online, because of the coronavirus situation. I think Amazon is in a good position to basically benefit from that, because they
Mm-hmm.
make e-commerce delivery very simple, very easy. They basically have everything that you would ever need and then some. But yeah, it's great. But the challenge is, Amazon calls all the shots. So if you don't
Yeah.
have any presence outside of Amazon, you're basically at the whims of whatever Amazon wants to do or whatever happens with competitors. So once you've had some level of success on Amazon, that's when it makes a lot of sense to do Facebook, right? It's like kind of the next step, building out an audience. But again, it really depends on the type of products because some products do very well on Facebook, and then some it's much harder to get engagement for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so if you're interested in, well, first of all, I guess before we start there, like, why would somebody want to do this, and what are the reasons that you would want to do this in the first place? I mean, we sort of got to it there with the Amazon dependency, but what is really the benefit of starting a community on? We're going to be talking about Facebook, but there are other places you could start a community. But so yeah, so what? First of all, what drove you to using Facebook, or what might somebody who sells on Amazon, why might they want to do that?
Yeah, so I think the benefit of building an audience on Facebook is uh, you can basically get customers who buy multiple products, right? So the best thing to do is to have a customer who not just buys one product on Amazon from you, but multiple products over and over again. And I think that's the one area where Facebook really shines. We gave the
Mm.
example before of people who love dogs, right? So if you sell just one dog product, that's okay. But if you sell 10, 20, 30, 50, 100 different products for dogs, and you can, basically get the attention of dog lovers on Facebook, then that one customer can buy multiple products from you. And so that's time and again where I've seen that Facebook really provides the most value is, if you're planning to sell multiple products in e-commerce and that group of people is visible on Facebook, you can target them. So for example, there's already Facebook pages around that topic. It's kind of a passionate group of people. That's where focusing on Facebook can really bring a lot of value.
Cool. Um, so so what about, we've been talking about Amazon, but I would imagine you could apply this as well if you sold on other channels like, let's say, eBay or Etsy, or even on your own website through Shopify or somewhere else. Is there, would it work the same way?
Yes. So again, at the end of the day, the channel where you take the orders is just where you take the orders, right? It's
Hmm.
just that Amazon happens to dominate that by far at this point in time. But most of the same principles apply if you're building, an audience to sell products on your own Shopify store. Um, I think the difference is if you're selling on your own Shopify store, you have to bring your own audience, right?
Hmm.
Because no one knows who you are on whatever website.com. But on Amazon, there's already this built-in buyer base. And so Amazon sellers don't necessarily think about building traffic outside of Amazon because basically buyers are raining from the sky on Amazon, right? Whereas on Shopify, you're acutely aware of, how challenging it is to build an audience and bring in your own traffic and convert that traffic and do the email list and do, all of these different things. But you can still get those same benefits whether you're on Shopify or on Amazon.
Gotcha. Cool. So if somebody's watching and they're thinking, all right, I'm hooked. This is exactly what I need. I know that if you listen to the podcast, there's been this huge sort of shift of the narrative over time, and I think we mentioned this a little bit in our last talk a few days ago. But there's been this huge shift in what works to sell on Amazon. The same old tactics for most people aren't really working in the same way as they did 5 years ago. And so a lot of the narrative has shifted from doing it very I lost the tactically. Is that a word?
Yeah,
the tactics have shifted from using those tools like Jungle Scout in the same old ways to where people are now shifting a focus into building a brand. And there's been a lot of talk on a lot of podcasts about this. And so I would imagine what you're going to talk about is going to be a really a big part of building that brand for a lot of people.
Yeah,
right?
And I think, as the Amazon platform matures, it's, building that brand is even more important, right? So for a while, let's say 4 or 5 years ago, you could kind of just source a random product and it's almost like a shotgun approach. Like, okay, we're just going to try whatever kind of product and whatever sticks. But the challenge is, as Amazon got more competitive, other people woke up to, wow, this is really easy. And then it wasn't easy anymore. Then everyone's like, oh, now I have to go back to doing really what should have been done in the first place, which is building the brand, building the audience. There was just this kind of bubble of a few years where on Amazon, you could basically get away without any of that stuff just because of the power of the Amazon platform and the supply and demand. But now that's not the case, really. It's those people who are building their own audiences, whether they sell on Shopify or on Amazon, they're the ones who are going to be sticking around for the long term, right? Building that customer base, building that loyalty, finding out what products that you can offer them, getting product feedback from, what products you're even going to launch. The audience kind of connects into all of these different parts of having a successful e-commerce business.
Yeah. And so you're talking about how essentially there was easy money for a while, and this has happened in all different places as the internet has evolved from the early days. There have been these pockets of easy money that have gotten a little harder. So like people used to do spammy things to get people to a page to get some clicks, and they'd make some money on whether it's affiliate something or advertising. But then it became harder and harder to rank, and you had this happens in every industry. And so wherever there's easy money, it's easy money for a while, and then it closes up, and and then you have to actually do marketing, which is what marketers are good at. But the easy money people don't like that, and I've slowly had to learn that myself as well. On not on Amazon, but other places. So that's what's happening, and so now we have to really pay attention to marketing and building a brand. So let's get into it, man. We've kind of laid out the framework for why this is important and who this is for. So let's get into what do you do if this is something that interests you. And by the way, I'll say one more time, say hello, leave a comment if you're watching. Say hi, tell us where you're from, and give us some questions because we're here. Dave is here to serve you as well as I am. So if you have questions, we want to be able to answer them. So I'm going to put the banner back up and give us your questions. Okay, so yeah, so how would somebody now, if they're interested, they're ready to do this, what's the framework there?
Yeah, so I think the first thing is to really decide if you're going to launch multiple products, right? And so before you go through all the effort of building audience and doing Facebook, you kind of have to take a step back and say, okay, if I want to have multiple products to this, let's say, customer avatar, right? So who is this person that we are going to be selling products to, and really kind of drill down and get specific about their likes, their dislikes, where do they already go to get information. So going back to the example of dogs, they probably already subscribe to other dog magazines, dog Facebook pages. They have certain interest. Thinking about the person, the customer, this kind of avatar that you want to bring into your audience on Facebook is really helpful, right? And this is also an area where Amazon is like one step removed. It's like you don't really know who are the people buying from you on Amazon. There's like Amazon's in the middle, whereas if you had a retail store on the street corner and someone walked into your store, you would always be having conversations with your customers, right? And so it's something we kind of have to remember. Selling online is how do you facilitate the virtual version of the corner store, right? Where your customers come in and they talk to you and they give you feedback. I like this, I don't like that. That's where the Facebook kind of comes in, right? Facebook audience, you can get that product feedback really quickly and directly. And so the first thing is, who's the kind of customer avatar do you want to go after? And then, if you're going to launch multiple products to that person, okay, then you can proceed to build the audience, right? Then it's worth the time and the effort to do that. And if, for building the audience, one thing you have to keep in mind for Facebook is, Facebook works better for those products that people are passionately engaged about. So, people tend to be really crazy about their pets, right? So this is an example that I keep using, but anywhere there's a pocket of passionate people around a topic, so it could be pets or arts and crafts or guns for some people or hunting or there's all these kind of passions that people have, and on Facebook you can connect with people who have those passions and then kind of invite them into either your Facebook group or your Facebook page. And so that's kind of the foundation is, who are these passionate or, in other words, crazy people, the craziest people around this topic. Those are the ones who you want to bring into your audience. It's the person who has not just one dog, they have 5 dogs or 8 dogs, right? And so those are kind of like the craziest customers, and those are the ones who you want to bring into your world through Facebook. Right. And so they become brand ambassadors. They tell their other dog friends or, their other yoga friends or, whatever that kind of is, or they love baking. Right. So they tell their other friends that also do baking. That's where Facebook really shines.
That's interesting. I guess I haven't thought that through entirely because, we'll stick with the dog thing. If I was somebody who sold dog products, I haven't done that, so I haven't really thought it through entirely. But I would think that most dog owners have maybe just one dog, and they love their dogs, but they're not, like you said, they're not the crazy ones. They're not crazy about dogs. So if I were creating a customer avatar, I would probably lean toward the average dog owner, which is not the person that you're describing, right? So
Yes. Yep.
and because I would think I'm building a group for the average dog owner. The average dog owner might be a little put off by the crazy dog owner, the one who's just all about it and saying, there are passionate, crazy sides to every topic, right? So, me as an average person in most things, I am a little bit put off by the people who I see as overboard on those topics. So that's interesting. Do you care to elaborate on that and what just what do you think about that?
Yeah, that's a good point, Isaac. So I think one of the key things is, you're going to spend, let's say to acquire a customer and bring them into your world, probably a similar amount, whether they're an average customer or we'll just say a crazy customer, right? Like the effort for you to reach out and build the audience is pretty similar. The difference is the crazy customer probably spends 5 to 10x more on that hobby than the average person or the median person does. And so that's why by focusing on the craziest customers, then you get kind of like exponentially more potential lifetime value of the customer, right? So if someone has one dog, okay, they're going to buy a certain amount of dog food. If they have 10 dogs, they're buying 10 times more, depending on the size of the dogs, dog food, right? So that's the kind of customer that you want, that kind of, we'll just call them like a whale customer, right? It's like the person that comes in and they just buy over and over again and they buy tons of it. And to the layperson, it might seem excessive that someone has, let's just say so many dogs, or, let's say they're, in my case, doing sewing, right? There's some people that have fabric piled up to the ceiling in their sewing room. That seems excessive. That's up to you to choose. But the reality is that person buys a lot of fabric. Whether or not, you're how you feel about that, that's the truth, right? And so if you're selling fabric, you don't want the person who just buys one piece of fabric. You want the person that buys 100 pieces of fabric. And again, I think this is where Facebook really shines, is you can build your communities around the people who really care the most about the type of products that you sell. And so I'd like to think about, there's kind of two ways you can get started, right? So one way is, kind of like you did with the Survive and Thrive group, is you can build a Facebook group. And I think that's a really easy and free way to basically get started and bring some people into your world and start having discussions about the type of products, that you sell, basically focused on, what are the challenges that someone who, for example, would be a dog owner would have, right? That's what the Facebook group is really about. It's not really about your specific product. It's about what it's like to be a dog owner. What are the challenges that they have? What are the problems that they wish were solved? And the group is about the topic. It's not about your product, right? Your product serves a group of people and helps them along their journey. But where I see a lot of people get tripped up with Facebook is they make it all about their product. And that can sometimes work with some brand pages, especially bigger brands where the brand is at the point where it is almost its kind of its own lifestyle, right? You can think of some brands like that where just by the size of the brand, it's like people are crazy about it. But in the beginning, you kind of have to think about, okay, what are the if I'm going to go the Facebook route and go after people who are passionate about their problems, then what are the topics that the group could be about, right? It's not about, I have this dog chew toy group. It's about golden retrievers owners, right? That could be a Facebook group, right? So those are like kind of two different ways of thinking. Is this group going to be product focused? Me about my products, or is it going to be about the topic, about the audience, about what they want? And in my experience, the topic almost always does better. And so, the Facebook group, that's a good way to get started. And then the other option is you can make a Facebook page. a business page. But the challenge with the business page is, over time, Facebook has, reduced the amount of organic reach or free reach that these business pages get over time. And so if you do want to do a business page, you basically have to pay or find some other way to get people to like the page, right? So you could do Facebook ads. You could, if you already have an email list, you could get them to like it. But there's some kind of critical mass of people that you would have to get to start liking the Facebook business page, just because it's much easier to facilitate discussions in a Facebook group because people are used to just chatting and whatever. But you can't do advertising in a Facebook group. That's the challenge. So if you want to do Facebook ads and extend your reach, you need a Facebook page to do that. So that's kind of the distinction there is, okay, am I going to do a group or I'm going to do a page or I'm going to do both?
So you mean you can't do advertising to drive people to a Facebook group? Or
exactly. Yeah, that's the challenge.
I see. Yep. That's interesting. So what do you do then to fill your Facebook groups?
So I'd say probably the most direct way is to find, where do those customers already hang out, right? So that could be in person. I mean, it's talking to people, inviting them to the group. It could be, there may be other groups that are out there that you can join and get involved in the conversation, right? So you don't necessarily have to, let's say you're still in the product testing phase. You don't necessarily have to make, your own group. You could become, maybe you're already involved in groups around the topic, right? But you want to be in a position where you can facilitate those discussions and get that product feedback directly rather than just trying to guess like what people want. I mean, even if you know a lot about the topic, there's always, stuff you didn't know that you didn't know. And so being able to talk to the customers directly and get their product feedback will just save you tons of time and money later.
Right. So what do you do now when you've decided you want to build the Facebook group? But I guess I did know that, but I thought I had heard they changed it so that you can advertise to Facebook groups, but I guess I must have missed that one. So when let's say when you're ready to start your dog Facebook group, you've got your crazy customers. What do you do then? So you can go out and meet people and say, hey, join my Facebook group. But of course you're limited to who you can actually meet there. So what are some of the things that you've done? I would imagine, of course, you can build the Facebook page, like you said, and then tell people to go from there.
Yeah. So that's one of the fastest ways to do it, right? Is you can run advertising for the Facebook page and then invite those people to like the group. Right. Or if you're already selling on other platforms, if you're selling on Shopify, if you're selling on Amazon, you want to get your past customers into your own Facebook group. Right. So that's kind of like your VIP group or, those people who, they've already voted with money and they've already paid you money. One thing that I've seen is getting a couple hundred customers into a private Facebook group. It's just a great way to get feedback and build that relationship over time. And if you do have existing customers, that's kind of where I would start, right? So I would start with who's already paid you money for these products. Could you invite 100 of them to a group? That's going to work really well to get feedback and maybe get them involved in product launches. This kind of VIP group is like another way that I've seen e-commerce stores start to build some presence on Facebook, right? It's just your past customers. That's a great place to get started.
And so we talked a little bit last time about exporting your data from your customer data from Amazon, which we believe they're going to close that hole pretty soon. So aside from doing that, how do you get your customers from Amazon? Because as you say, They're Amazon's customers. They're not yours.
Yeah, so we can get back to the Facebook importing part later. There's a few
Right.
different
Yeah.
ways that I've seen. Product inserts I've seen some people do with
Mhm.
Amazon,
And is
warranties,
that
these different ways to get the customer's information to contact them.
now, is that okay? Because I know Amazon is really serious and strict about product insert. They don't want you to send their customers to your website to buy the product next time, right? So do they are they a little less strict on putting inserts for sending people to Facebook pages, things like that, or Facebook groups?
Yeah, this is something that can change. So again, see what Amazon's most recent um, kind of terms are on that. But I've still seen a lot of product inserts being done, both in stuff that I've ordered and just from Amazon sellers. Um, it. I would not do a product insert to try and get them to go buy stuff. I think that's probably a bad idea. But if what you're doing offers additional value for the end product, so a good
Hmm.
example would be a lifetime guarantee, or um, maybe some kind of ebook or something instruction video that this customer could download about the product, and those are some ways that you could get them into your world, right? So at least for Amazon, it is more challenging, but I've seen some ways like that where you can add some value to the product, and then that's how you get a couple hundred VIP customers into the Facebook group that you're starting.
Hmm. Interesting. So when you've got this a couple hundred people, so you can use product inserts. What were some of the? Did you mention a couple other things?
I've seen like guarantees on the product.
Hmm.
It could be like ebooks or uh, basically additional instructions for the product. If that makes sense, if it's a technical product.
Mm-hmm.
Those are things that really add a lot of value to someone that purchases the product. And the product insert is not telling them, "Hey, go to our website and buy stuff." Right? That's what Amazon hates.
Right.
But if you're supporting the product with something that can't really be included in the physical packaging, like you can't stick a video. I mean, I guess you could, but most people are not going to put a video inside of the product, like an instructional video, and so you would kind of have to go somewhere to watch that
Right.
video. And if you happen to ask them for their email address or to like your Facebook page, that's one kind of quick way to get started.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and then there are the more for Amazon, you do get some data on the customers, which I talked about last time in our other interview. You can actually export a lot of that data from Amazon from past customers and import it into Facebook to target them. So that's kind of we'll just say a more direct method, right? So Yeah, so by exporting that Amazon data, importing it into Facebook, then you can run advertising to those people to join your Facebook page, to then join the group, to give you their email. Like that kind of starts the whole, closing the loop on the Amazon customers, right? So being able to reach out to them again. And my recommendation is always, as long as you can download the data from Amazon and it's still there, which probably at some point this year they'll remove it. Um, just save that Amazon customer data because it's just so valuable. And we can put up the link from last time,
Hmm.
that the landing
Yeah.
page where I just give the instructions on how to go through the Amazon fulfilled shipments report, export that data, and then bring it into Facebook. Um,
Yeah, I'll put that in the comments. I'm going to search for
yeah,
the
I think it was
last one and I'm just going to copy it in there.
firstpagefunnel.com/next level. The
Oh,
same
okay.
one that I
Yeah.
gave last time. Yeah.
Say that again one more time.
Yeah. Firstpagefunnel.com/next level.
Right. Okay. And so for those watching, here we go. I've got it in the comment. Did I get that right? So if
Yeah,
you go
that's right.
there, let's explain what this is. So we've been talking about exporting your customer data from Amazon, and this is talk about what this is, and I guess you have the instructions on how to do that here, right?
Yeah, so that link is just, how to, the steps to basically go through the reports and export it and format the data properly for Facebook. So this applies to those who, have some sales on Amazon already. Amazon used to give you the phone numbers of people that bought your products. And when they did that, Facebook could match a lot of those people because a lot of people have,
Right.
phone numbers in their Facebook profile. So the percentage of people who were matched to Amazon to Facebook was like 70%. It was like really high. But then
Yeah.
Amazon got rid of the phone number because, they don't, want to share that. So, okay. So now you still get the physical address in your fulfilled shipments report, of anyone who ordered the product from FBA. You get their name and their address, and so you can take that information, month by month, and export it and format it, bring it into Facebook, and Facebook will match about 30 to 40% of profiles to just name and address, right? So it's not as good as the phone number used to be, but certainly still very valuable. So if you have a couple thousand customers in Amazon, let's say you had 10,000 customers in Amazon in the lifetime of your products, you could probably match about 3,000, maybe up to 4,000 people on Facebook, right? But the nice thing about that is, okay, you have this very highly valuable target group that when you run your ads, to promote your Facebook page or get them to join your email list or your group, those ads will work really well, right? Because those people already paid you money. And if you were running your own Shopify store, this would be less of an issue because in order to buy the product, they already give you their email address and all this information. But on Amazon, you kind of, by bringing this data into Facebook, you're marketing to your past customers, right? So giving them some kind of offer, it could be the guarantee, it could be product feedback, it could be doing a contest, but whatever offers that you want to run, you certainly want to run them to your past Amazon customers, right? Because the engagement's just going to be really good, and once you get the email address of one of these past customers on Amazon, you could market to them over the next year, 2 years or more, and sell them multiple products, right? So that's always a challenge on Amazon is the customers kind of slip through your fingers, so to speak. It's like you can't really directly follow up with that same person that bought this other product, right? It's like they kind of have to bring themselves on the Amazon platform back to what you're doing. But with Facebook, once you get their communication permission, whether that's email list or ManyChat bot, you can control that conversation. So if you're launching a new product on Amazon, you can just send an email out to these past Amazon customers and say, hey, we're launching a new product. Can, please go buy it, or here's a coupon. And in my experience, that makes what is really the hardest part of Amazon, the launch process and getting on the first page and getting the visibility and just all the noise that's on Amazon right now. Having your own list, preferably of past Amazon customers, that makes it a lot easier, right? Because you have that firepower of a couple thousand people that you can just say, hey, go buy our stuff, right? And I've seen over and over again that, the kind of the more advanced Amazon sellers, they all have some kind of a strategy to build a list of people outside of Amazon. I mean, we could talk all day about all the different strategies, but they have some kind of audience, right? They have some kind of list. They have some engaged group of people that when they launch their products on Amazon, they just tell these people to go buy it, right? It's like if you have 10,000 people on your email list, the right people, all of a sudden this product launching becomes a lot more straightforward.
Yeah. So let's say you've got that. You're sending people into your Facebook group. Of course, the Facebook group, like you said, is going to be about the topic, not necessarily your product. So you can't just say, buy my stuff, buy my stuff, buy my
Right.
stuff.
Yeah.
So there's a process, of course, um, of making sure that the people in there are engaging in there. And so how do you run that? Oh, here we go. Here's a comment from Victoria. Hey, Victoria, good to see you. She says, "Hi guys, thanks for that tip on buyer details. I will check the instructions. You can still get the phone number if you do FBM, right?
FBM.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, I
Yeah.
suppose so.
Um, Possibly. So I'm not sure off the top of my head, but with FBA, you, at least for now, still get the customer's address. So, you can still do this. If FBM gives you the phone number, then your match rate's going to be even better if that is the
Yeah.
case.
And then do you use this buyers list to add them to your Facebook page or to target ads?
Yeah, so that's a good
Let's see.
question, Victoria. The uh, Using them for the ad targeting is the main thing that I've done. So it could be ads, asking them to like your Facebook page. I mean, that's one thing you could do. It could be ads to, offer them some kind of value add to the product. So again, like the guarantees, getting product feedback. It could be, you target these past Amazon customers and invite them to join a contest for a product that you're launching. So that's one thing that we've done as well. But yes, mainly for the Facebook ad targeting, right? And then when you target the ads to them, you have these different offers that you can use to get them into your world, right? Get them onto your Facebook page, get them onto your email list, get them into your ManyChat bot, and kind of close the loop from these other Amazon customers.
And so, yeah, we started talking. I started asking my question of, so how now you have given yourself the job of running a Facebook group. So how do you, now you've put a bunch of people in there, there's nothing there really. You may have put a few posts and, but so how do you get that to become a lively place where people want to stick around? Because I know that in the Facebook world, they measure their engagement. And
Yes.
as
Yep.
if engagement drops, then it drops more and it drops more, and they stop showing your posts to people. So, so what do you do? How do you run your Facebook group so that it continues to engage over time?
Yeah, that's a really great point, Isaac. Facebook is all about engagement, right? And so that's why, kind of earlier when we got started talking, the foundation is getting the right people into the
Mm,
group, right? The craziest people, right? So it's kind of like if you thought of a physical group of people. So if you had 100 people in a room that were all crazy about dogs, they just loved dogs and they had all different kinds of dogs and small and big, you wouldn't really have to do that much effort to facilitate their conversation. Like they
mm.
would just start talking. Oh, what do you like to do? Oh, you like dogs? I love dogs. Wow, what a coincidence that we're all in the same group at the same
What a
time.
coincidence.
What a coincidence, right? And so you, as the brand owner, you're kind of like the event planner, right? It's like you're putting the people into the room. You're having some nice food out. Maybe a few posts that they can talk about. But if you have a couple hundred people, and it is kind of a chicken and egg thing because if you have less than 100 people in the group, it's going to be hard to have that kind of baseline level of conversation. So yeah, when we launch groups, we try to get at least like 100, 200, 300 people from the get-go, like from the beginning. So we might have their information on the email list or already a Facebook page that we use to invite people. But once you get a couple hundred people in a group around a certain topic, you could post maybe once a day in the beginning, a question for them to talk about. But after that point, you don't have to do that much, like we'll just say like kind of curating like for the group, right? In
Mm.
my experience. So if you get the right people into the group and it's an interesting topic that they want to talk about anyways, again, it's not really about you. It's like you're just
Right.
kind of like planning the event and you're just letting people talk. And then when you have something, let's say you're launching a new product, you can get the group involved, right? And so you can ask, not just like, hey, go buy my stuff. I mean, you could do that, I guess, but more just like, we're going to launch this new product. Here's some, early photos, right, of a prototype. Like, what do you think of this? Like, it's not really about you telling them to go buy it. It's about getting the customer, the most passionate customers, involved in the conversation about your products, right?
Mm.
And like, so they
Hmm.
feel a little bit of ownership in the stuff that you're doing. And again, if you're planning to launch multiple products to the same group of people, it's worth it for you to go through all the effort to build these audiences, right? And build that relationship. Because again, you're building a brand. This is not something you're going to do for 1 month and then leave. And if it is, like, Facebook is not really a good channel to do that. But if you're going to run this brand for 1, 2, 3, 5, 10 years, like having those conversations on a regular basis, like that's kind of the foundation in my experience. And you can also look to, if you don't know what to talk about, you can just look at other Facebook pages, what are the kind of most popular posts that they've done, and then maybe do a variation on that. But at least in the private Facebook group, um, you kind of only have to, do that initial pushing for, the first maybe month or 2 months. But once people get used to interacting in the group, you just kind of like, fade into the background. It's like you
Mm.
just, let them talk about what they want to talk about, right? That's what
Yeah.
Facebook also wants. They want people to have conversations. Facebook, they've added a lot of new features to groups because they think that groups are really one of the most important parts of Facebook. And so that connects into e-commerce with, getting the most passionate customers into a group, the most passionate
Hmm.
people into the group. And that's kind of where the magic is. And then the Facebook page is more for the advertising, right, and scale. But those are kind of the two differences there.
Mm. Yeah, you mentioned that's where Facebook is really putting a lot of effort, and you see that in their Super Bowl ad was all about groups, and
Yes, yeah,
even me, I actually don't do a whole lot on Facebook outside of the groups. I'm in all of these business Facebook groups, and that's um, for love Facebook or hate them. A lot of there, I kind of don't like them because of some of the things, but that's what enables this, right? We are on Facebook, and that's where it's happening. So yeah, you're right. It is really becoming all about the groups, and that's
yes.
why I can't leave Facebook. Just everybody is here, and that's where the conversation is. Kind of
Yeah.
amazing, actually.
Yeah, it is because I heard an interview with Mark Zuckerberg. This was maybe 1 or 2 years ago, but he specifically spent a lot of time talking about Facebook groups, and I was like, okay, so Facebook is really putting a lot of time, effort, attention into groups because it's about the engagement, right? And like groups, like from terms of engagement, are just off the charts, right? You're in probably like 10, 20, 30 different groups or something. Like, if you're interested in a topic, there's Facebook groups around that topic, right? And so Facebook wants to facilitate that for you. And Facebook, a lot of people, especially I've seen coming from the Amazon side, they have this very transactional mindset, which on Amazon, that's just the way the platform works, right? It's like,
Hmm.
I do some PPC advertising for this one keyword, and this one person's going to buy this one product, and that's it. It's like boom, boom, money in, money out, like right away. But on Facebook, you know, uh, you're having engagement, you're having conversations, you're building the relationship over the long term, and it's just a very different mindset than like, okay, I'm going to go after this keyword and get this sale, and like you're talking to a person, and this person, they have things that they're interested in, challenges, and so Facebook, whether it's in the group or on the page, is where you facilitate those conversations. And then when you launch the product later on, after this person trusts you, right? So you've built up that trust over, months or years, then it's an easy sell to say, hey, you love dogs. Here's our new dog toy, the one that you gave your product feedback on. You told us I'll go with the red one and not the blue one.
Right.
Boom, that product's active. Here's a coupon because 20% off because you're an awesome customer. Like, of course they're going to buy it. Like, it's just a totally different conversation than you're convincing some total stranger that knows nothing about your brand to hopefully please buy my product. Right? It's just a very different conversation.
Yeah. So now that you've built a group, you've started the conversation, and they're starting to chat amongst themselves and talk about their their dogs and all the different things that dog owners talk about. So what are some other things that you can do, or that you do with these groups? You've talked about product launches. You talked about using them to help guide your product development. What other things do you do now that you have a thriving community for dog lovers, or whatever it may be?
Yeah. So I'm trying to think what are some other information that we've gotten in the group. So sometimes we've had different, let's say we're launching different T-shirts, right? So that's one business that I've done before. It was so valuable to have a private group where we could say, hey, here's T-shirt design A, here's T-shirt design B, here's T-shirt design C. Like, what do you think, right? And so when you ask kind of allow them to vote, or kind of leave some open-ended feedback, a lot of times, what would happen is the shirt designs that I thought were really good, that's not really what the customers liked. And at the end of the day, they're the ones, buying the product. So it's more important what they like. But, if there's a product that you're going to invest a lot of time and money and effort into, if we were going to launch a T-shirt on Facebook, we were already setting aside, at least a couple $100 for advertising, maybe thousands. So if we could shortcut that feedback loop by asking people up front, do you like A, B, or C? Well, if they really hate, option B and option C, we probably shouldn't spend thousands of dollars promoting option B and option C when they already don't like it, right? So you can use the group feedback to eliminate what you don't realize are actually bad ideas, and they're going to cost you a lot of money. Like, I think that's where the group feedback is so valuable, because it's free. It didn't cost me anything to post one post in the group and said, do you like A, B, or C? And we would get, 50 comments within like a day. It's like, I like this, or what if you change that? Or people love to give their opinion. Like, everyone has an opinion, right?
Right.
And if you can harness that in the right way to, stay focused on kind of what are the important goals on the product development side, and for growing the brand, that feedback can been really, really helpful.
Very cool. And so now, something I always feel like I don't want to be too salesy, and I know there are some people who are on the other side of that. So how do you figure out where the line is between, I have a community of people that I want to serve, and telling people about my T-shirts or my dog toys or whatever, and saying, hey, go buy these things? What do you think about that?
So for the Facebook group, you don't want to do too much direct promotion to that group, right? Because that group is like, it's kind of like you don't want to poison the well, so to speak, of that group, right? And so that's why I think the group helped facilitate conversations, right? That's like kind of the primary point. And if you do have something that's really important, like a critical product launch, that's the time you can kind of sell into the group. But I mean, at most that's like once a month. I mean, it's not like
Mm.
you're posting buy this, buy like in the group every day. It's like, yeah, I'd say once a month for like a direct promotion. But otherwise, it's all conversations. You know, you getting feedback on the product is not you selling the product. That's a key difference, right? You're
Right.
asking without selling, and so people don't feel pressured when it's just a question, right? Because you know you're not charging them anything. Right? You're just asking their opinion, and so um, you know you can get so much feedback, and because you're not asking anything for it, it's you're not really selling them anything. But when you are ready to sell them later, they're already invested in that product, which is like kind of the side benefit.
Mm.
And then for when you want to do scale and direct advertising, that's where the Facebook page really comes in, because
Okay.
Facebook, if you want to advertise on Facebook ads, you need a business page, you need the business manager for Facebook. Um, and Facebook allows you to get scale very quickly. But the challenge is the ads platform is quite it's very complicated. And that's from
Mm-hmm.
someone, I've been doing, Facebook ads specifically for like 6 years, and doing other PPC before that for like 4 years. It's a really complicated platform, and they're
Yeah.
always adding new features. But if you have, products that convert, if you have offers that convert, and, a high customer lifetime value, you can build an audience very, very quickly by leveraging these paid channels like Facebook. But the flip side is, so can other people, right? So it's
Mm-hmm.
supply and demand. So the challenge on Facebook that I've seen for the past probably 3 years is the cost of ad prices on Facebook just keeps going up. It literally has just not stopped, because on Facebook, there's a limited amount of ad inventory that Facebook can show, right? They can only show you newsfeed ads, like I think it's 3 times a day or maybe 4, but there's a limit, right? They don't, every single post in your newsfeed is not an ad, or you would leave Facebook. And Facebook
Mm-hmm.
knows this, and they've tested it over and over again. So they know what is just below the threshold of like annoying people to leave Facebook, but makes them the
Yeah.
most money. I'm sure they've tested this millions of different ways, right? But there is a limit, right? So let's say it's 3 posts a day on the newsfeed. Okay, so for this person, only 3 posts a day in their newsfeed, which is still the best advertising placement, right? At a certain point, Facebook couldn't get any more ad inventory, right? So the supply of ad inventory on Facebook stayed constant. Like Facebook couldn't open up more placements. There's a certain point where there's diminishing returns, but more and more people wanted to keep advertising on Facebook, right? So the supply stays the same, but the demand kept going up. So the price goes up because Facebook is an auction, right? So Facebook ads have
Right.
been getting more and more and more expensive for the past 3 years for that reason, because everybody wants to do Facebook. But one thing that I've seen in the past month, which uh, makes sense in retrospect, but was kind of an unintended consequence of this whole Corona situation, is a lot of more traditional businesses that have just been dumping money into Facebook, right? Because they want to do this Facebook thing. So think like more traditional brick and mortar kind of businesses. They're all out of the ad auction on Facebook. Like, they have their own business problems. Like, them spending money on Facebook is like the last thing that they want to worry about in this kind of economic environment. And so there's kind of this vacuum on Facebook right now. And I've talked to other Facebook advertisers. Facebook ads for the first time in probably 4 or 5 years have gone down in price, right? So
Mm-hmm.
like the cost per 1,000 impressions, somewhere between 15 and 20% less than it was a year ago. And if you have a product or an offer that still converts really well, which that's always the key, right? Like, if the cost goes down, but your conversion rate went down even more for your products, that's not really going to help you, right? If you're selling like a travel bag, sorry, the Facebook is it's just not going to work, because no one's buying travel bags right now. So you kind of have to take that gut check and be like, do my products sell? But there are a lot of people who have products that sell as well or even better than they did before.
Mm-hmm.
I heard the numbers, I think it was e-commerce fuel, they said maybe 60% of people, their sales went down, 10% is flat, and then 30% of people had an increase in sales because of, all these changes from Corona. So, if your sales are flat or, even going up, you have a great opportunity to leverage these paid channels like Facebook, because everybody else, they're out, they're out of the auction. So prices are much lower now, 15 or 20% lower. So you can, some of the clients that I've worked with or other agencies that I've talked with, those products, they can scale them really a lot easier than they used to, because it's whatever, 20% cheaper than it was last year. So that's that much additional traffic, that's that much additional eyeballs. So it's something to keep in mind, with every challenge, there's opportunities, right? So if you do have products that continue to sell really well, now might be a really good time to try out Facebook, right? Because you might actually have a better chance of it working now from a cost perspective than you did a year ago.
Yeah. And that's one thing that takes me back to what a lot of people have talked about in the summit is, even if now is not a good time for you, now is a good time to be building that audience.
Yes.
And so if you are counting on using paid traffic to build your audience, whether we're talking about Facebook or not, now is a good time to use that paid channel, because it's cheaper now. Even if you're not selling a product, you're building the audience. So I would imagine if you're building that Facebook group and that audience now around that topic, this is a good time to do that, I would think, right?
Yes. Again, with the caveat of, if you have to keep in mind when your products are going to recover in conversion rate, right? If it was a product that had a challenge, and that could be 6, 12 months or more.
Right.
But in the meantime, you're absolutely right. If you're building a brand, and ideally you have a product that still converts well, or if you sell multiple products, there might be one product that the sales went down, but there might be some other product where the sales went up, right? And again, that's one of the benefits of having an audience is you can just focus their attention on the product that is converting at that time, right? So in that way, if you build the audience now, it's a lot cheaper and easier than it was a year ago, which is like, again, I'm still trying to wrap my head around it, because I'm so used to the world in which Facebook only goes up in price and only gets more expensive and only gets more competitive. But instantly, in less than 30 days, it's actually a lot easier to do Facebook than it was last year, which, again, if you want to build the audience, now is a good time to do that, because you can get more people faster and cheaper than you could a year ago.
Yeah. Victoria, I love it. Yeah, I love how quickly you take action. We're still talking, and yet here Victoria
That's awesome.
says, just downloaded my shipment report. Gosh, there's so much in it in one place.
Yes, it can be a lot of data. Yeah, that's why I did the video tutorial. Yeah.
Thank you. Is there an easy way to visually map all the buyers? Would be great to see them all visually on a map. That would be cool.
Facebook, if you have a lot of buyers, like several thousand, when you do the upload into Facebook, you can sometimes run, what's it called, an audience insights report on your audience. And then Facebook will just show you a map of like, here's the people in Facebook. But that only works, I would say, if you maybe uploaded more than 10,000 people. I mean, and so for some sellers, that can be a lot. The audience insights report in Facebook. I think there's also like tools online that do visualizations that you could maybe see, kind of a breakdown of where people are geographically. And then also when you bring some of those people into your own, email list, then you can also kind of get that data of, where they're from and so on. Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's like a visualization, like a free tool that's available. If let's say you have less than 10,000 people.
Let's build an app. There's your business idea.
Yeah, I mean, there's always new ideas. Yeah, and so that's awesome that you took action, Victoria. And
Yes.
now that customer data, whatever you decide to do, if that's advertising on Facebook or, you know, um, I've even heard of some people sending postcards to their past customers, but Amazon definitely doesn't want you to do that. But it's an option. I'm just saying, you have that customer data, right? And that's the important part, and that's why I always recommend to people just go export it now. If you're ready for Facebook now, awesome. If you want to do Facebook 6 months from now, cool. Just get the data, right? Like those are people who bought stuff from you. It's gold. Like that list is gold. So yeah, that's awesome, Victoria.
Love it. All right. Well, I think our time is coming to a close here. Dave, I want to thank you so much for coming back and talking about this topic, which I think a lot of people would get a lot of value from. Do we have any sort of wrap up comments about if somebody is really interested in doing this? Oh, here we got another question from Victoria. Thanks for so many questions. I'm glad to see you back on the live stream, Victoria. Are there any other super useful reports that are not talked much about you use a lot?
So for Facebook, I think the most important one is the fulfilled shipments report in Amazon, just to export that data. Once you start to get more of those people on your email list, and I use ManyChat, the chatbot, to, when we get people coming in from Facebook, they go into our Facebook Messenger bot, and you can actually run a lot of data through the ManyChat bot. So that's been really helpful for me from that perspective. One thing that I have done in Shopify before, I think Amazon has a report for this also, is basically repeat buyers report, or like multiple orders over time. And so if there's a report that you can run to see, who are those customers that bought not just one widget, but 2 widgets or 3 or 5 or 10, or what's your repeat purchase rate? I would look into those metrics, because again, you want the people in your Facebook group who bought 5 widgets, not the one that bought just 1 widget, or 10 widgets. Like those repeat buyers, the whale customers with the most value, any reports you can run to find them, that's who you want to get, right? It's those crazy customers that you want in your groups and buying your products.
Awesome. Well, this has been amazing. Super useful information here. Dave, thanks so much again. Where can people find you if they want to get in touch or if they want to check out what you're doing?
Yeah, so I think that landing page that we said before, the first page funnel.com/next level. If someone's not selling on Amazon, I have other info there about my Facebook stuff and services and training. So yeah, any other information there about kind of building a Facebook audience in general, also on my site. So yeah, thanks for having me on, Isaac. This was really awesome.
Yeah, it's great to have you. This is so much fun. And last comment here, great point. Thank you, Dave and Isaac.
Yep. Thanks, Victoria.
You're welcome,
and good luck.
Victoria. Yeah, thanks for coming back and having some fun with us. All right. Well, that's it, guys. So go ahead and check out the resources that Dave was mentioning. If you have any other questions, of course, if you're watching the replay, I know that's a lot of people will be watching the replay. So go ahead and just type your questions in, and Dave is in the group. He can reply to you. And that's it. Have a great evening, great morning, wherever you happen to be, and we'll see you next time.